It goes back to the other thing I saw on Instagram that ultimately said intent doesn't matter, only impact does. That was the ultimate thing that it said with the glasses thing that I was talking about earlier. It was like, it doesn't matter if Elder Holland intended to help LGBTQ people with what he was saying. Only the impact of his words matters. And I think that that's a little bit insane.
So look, and I understand there's a lot of ways you could poke holes in this, like cheese, but when I was president of BYU Democrats and I got the club from 8 members to over 100 members and we got it booming, and I put hours and hours of dedication and work into that club only to have to leave it to anti-Mormons who did nothing but fabricate rumors about anybody on campus who was conservative, file false police reports about people, have people in the Title IX room accused of horrific things that they did not do and were actually acquitted of, and have those exact same hardcore liberals do as much damage to any religious student with power on campus as possible, and then post black squares on their Instagram and rainbows in their bio and pronouns and say they're all about love. I lost all faith for anyone progressive in Utah. I do not trust them.
Oh, man.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Cardinellis. Your host. The show is Midnight Mormons, and I am joined with Brad Whitbeck and Kwaku L. And before we jump into our topic, we're going to say our favorite comment from our last video was actually this one here by J-Dog, saying, "Where y'all been? You guys are the only ones that tell it how it is. The anti-Mormon podcasts are so strong because there's no content like you guys. If there was more creators like you guys, it would keep the attention to more members." I think that might have been an autocorrect. But he went on to say, "Instead, we have soy boy podcasts or 75-year-olds giving boring talks. Make Mormons have joy again." All right, I like that one. Make Mormons have joy again. That's MMHJA. That's not MAGA. That's Mahajima. You know,
slap that on a hat there.
Mahuja, Pearl of Great Price.
You know?
Oh, hey, there you go.
Yeah, it could be.
Stretch.
So we're gonna toss this one to you, Brad.
Yeah.
Because this topic was burning a hole in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time we got done talking pre-production and everything, I said, hey, let's just start recording because you had some thoughts on this. So, Brad, take it away.
Yeah, so this one I've been thinking about a lot because I think, if nothing else, at least the talk that we have from Elder Holland last week has gotten people talking about what they think about the LGBTQ issues in the church, right?
It's gotten people talking.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say talking.
I would hope.
Talking.
And maybe this is me being overly optimistic, but I hope that it spurs conversations between people who disagree so that they can get on the same page. I have seen a lot of people.
Next time my friend goes to marriage counseling, I'll just say you were spurring conversation, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because mommy and daddy ain't talking at the dinner table or on the way to church.
Oh, boy.
You know what I'm saying? But
see, here's what I think. I think that there's probably the most important portion of what Elder Holland said is one of the parts that's getting overlooked a lot. And so I want us to pull that up first. And I've seen some people sharing this.
Okay.
And I want to make sure, like, I think it's important to highlight how much this applies to people who are LGBT in the church.
Okay. Is this one where you wanted me to find where it said balance?
Yeah.
All right. So we're just going to jump right in. You want me to read this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here it is right now in front of your eyes.
Scroll down a little bit.
In the words of Elder Holland, for example, we have to be careful that love and empathy do not get interpreted as condoning and advocacy, or that orthodoxy and loyalty to principle not be interpreted as unkindness or disloyalty to people. Okay, that sounds pretty boilerplate and good. As near as I can tell, Christ never once withheld his love from anyone, but he also never once said to anyone, because I love you, you are exempt from keeping my commandments. We are tasked with trying to strike that same sensitive, demanding balance in our lives.
Mm-hmm. So I love this. I think that this is a very, very good thing, and I find it incredibly ironic that this is what he was saying, and then people just threw everything that he said out the window because muskets being mentioned, right?
Yeah.
And so like I think we need to try to find a way to be sensitive to that as much as we can.
It would be like throwing out the Gettysburg Address because he said the word forefathers, and that's part of the white patriarchy or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's something that's a little bit overblown, and we've even had a commenter or two. I've seen people in discussions online say, yeah, I'm a LGBT member or even an LGBT member who left the church, and I think this is getting blown out of proportion.
Yeah, there's been a lot of those comments in previous videos that we've done, yes.
Yeah, and so I'm seeing that, and I'm like, okay, I think what we should be pulling from this is how do we strike that balance in our own lives?
Yeah.
And how do we get on a better page with everybody? And I think the best possible way that we can is to actually talk to our neighbors about it, right?
Okay.
To like talk to our friends who are LGBT in the church and outside of it, get their opinions, see what they have to say, try to get on the same page so that we are getting along, right? And so that they can see in our eyes, not over some message, right? That we care about them, that we care about their feelings, that we care about what they have to say. I think if we can do that, we'll be able to stop this hyperbole that's happening that really kind of makes other people, I think, more hurt than they would be if it had just been left alone.
And you got something to say? Sorry, were you trying to jump in there, Kwaku?
See, I agree. My fear is that the line's already been drawn in the sand, and it's not necessarily LDS versus LGBT, but it's one culture versus another. And a destructive online cancel culture type people who feed off of the destruction of others and people who just want to have normal lives. So what I'm finding, because not all, but a lot of the posts I'm seeing where they're saying Elder Holland is a bad person and if you're LDS, you're a bad person, are straight members speaking on behalf of LGBT members. So, I mean, like, we've got the ex-Mormon podcasting, donate to my Patreon so I can continue to take down the church type people leading this battle against Elder Holland, whereas many of the LGBT people I see caught off in the sides just being like, I have some thoughts on this, but they're not exactly those people's thoughts. So there is a grift that's associated with this. And so I do think it's important to just talk to our LGBT friends and family and say, hey, how do you feel about this? Let's actually talk, like I said, face to face. But unfortunately, I think the cancel people are trying to ensure that doesn't happen because they're saying, stay away from Mormons, stay away from your Mormon family, and they're not safe. Don't talk to them. So we've got people actively trying to make sure conversation doesn't happen because ultimately those people want destruction.
Yeah. And I think the quickest way to get ahead of that is to actually have conversations of your own.
Yeah, and I posted this. What's crazy is I got so much flack. I've got gay family members, and I got so much good response from this. But the amount of intellectual dishonesty and just stubbornness of some of the people out there and their reaction to this just blew my mind. What Elder Holland said actually reminds me a lot of, I posted this on Instagram. It's one of my favorite Dave Chappelle quotes. If you're unfamiliar with this, audience, you got to look it up. And I swear, this is right up there with Beware of Pride by Ezra Taft Benson. All right, wait, no, it wasn't Ezra Taft Benson. That was Ezra Taft Benson. It was Ezra Taft Benson. Yeah, sorry. Chemo brain's kicking in. Sorry. Anyway, I quote Dave Chappelle. He said, "Our culture has accepted two huge lies. The first is that if you disagree with someone's lifestyle, you must fear or hate them. The second is that to love someone means you agree with everything they believe, say, or do. Both are nonsense. You don't have to compromise convictions to be compassionate." And I think that compassion is what you're looking for. See, I'm in between you and, once again, I find myself in between you and Kwaku, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I do believe the battle lines have been drawn by those that are the leaders of the movement, and they're trying to push intersectionalism and the forces of chaos in this world hate Christianity and organized religion. Mm-hmm. And they've been able to basically topple every other organized religion out there. Because let's face it, the Protestants aren't a force to be reckoned with.
They have no balls.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Balls at all.
Yeah, they've been neutered, shall we say. The United Methodist Church just got busted in half by the LGBTQ argument. And, you know, it's basically now Jews and Mormons are and for the two Catholics that actually attend regularly in any given city, you know. But
I don't know. I would say traditional Catholics, you got Jehovah's Witnesses, you got SBC, the Southern Baptist Convention people, Greek Orthodox, Coptics. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not saying these don't exist. I'm saying I don't think
powerhouses.
Yeah, I don't think
Allied J-Dubs. They're still pretty powerful.
Wield the power. Well, okay, you know
they're quiet, but they
I might have missed one.
They blend in with us.
Okay, great. So I might have missed one, but at the end of the day, there's less now than there was 10 years ago, and there was less 10 years ago than there was 20 years ago, and there's nothing like the good old days of I don't know when that Franklin guy would get up and, you know, movies would be taken out of theaters because he said they were immortal or something, all right? So it's on the wane, and this is the first time in U.S. history where Pew Research has done a poll and less than half of America self-identifies as Christian. It's the first time. We've got measurable quantifiers.
Yeah.
And part of that is all of us want to be compassionate. It's one of the number one tenets of Christianity is that compassion that we have for others. Even the woman taken in adultery received the ultimate compassion from Jesus Christ himself. Okay? But there's something about these two lies that is so pernicious that I don't get why they're so pervasive in our society. But the idea that if you disagree with somebody's lifestyle, that you must fear or hate them, and that to love somebody, this is the weird one, to love them, you have to agree with everything they believe. Like that. One of my favorite mayors was a mayor that I never actually experienced when I was in New York, but said something so wise. He got up the day before elections. Apparently it was a tight election. And he said, if you agree with 8 out of 10 things that I have said, please come with me to the polls tomorrow and let us change New York City together. But if you agree with me on 10 out of 10 things that I have said, you need to check yourself into a mental hospital. You know, and it was hilarious, but actually very true.
And I think that's interesting because I think we need to get back to a point as a society where we can recognize that we can disagree and still get along. You know, because we have this false expectation that we'll have somehow everyone will align 100%. And that's something I like about this show is like how often do we agree like 100%? Like
we just argued about Kwaku's silly Playboy shirt for like an hour. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like I think there's a lot of room for opinions that people kind of push past a lot because it's more comfortable to be in a spot where everyone just agrees.
Now this is where I'm going to agree with Kwaku. You want to jump in there, Kwaku?
Well, I would say, I mean, I think we all want that, but unfortunately, people in the media do profit from division. If it bleeds, it leads, Cardin always says. And there are a group of people who do have power in our media who have a vested interest in making sure there is division. Yeah. And division makes more trends, bigger hashtags, and more money and more clicks. So, unfortunately, a lot of the people who think they're social justice warriors are just getting played by someone who's making money off of their sweat, tears, and anger, but they haven't woken up to it because they think their little voice matters because they've been lied to.
And that is kind of leading into one of the things I wanted to look into today with, you want to pull up the next thing that I shared with you, Cardin?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I don't know if this is what this woman is doing.
Okay.
Have you guys heard of Dr. Julie Hanks?
This stuff.
I have.
Yeah, I haven't really heard much about her at all. I don't know who she is really.
Good.
What?
Good.
Okay.
No,
but
savage.
I really was. I don't know what to think about this. Love is advocacy. I saw one of the things that was interesting is this is exactly the opposite of what Elder Holland just said. He said we need to make sure that our love and care for people is not misinterpreted as advocacy, right?
This isn't even true on a not on a non-religious level. I'm sorry. Do I not love my friend? And if he's doing meth, and I'm like, hey, bro, you shouldn't do meth. I think it's a horrible thing. It's bad for you.
Well, now,
you do not love me if you... No. And
now some people say, how dare you compare homosexuality to methamphetamine use?
I'm not, because I said on a non-religious level, this isn't even true. Removing the religion from it in general.
I see what you're
the
saying.
idea that to love someone, you have to advocate... That's fake. That's just not true. In fact, if you love someone... Hey man, you're drinking a lot, dude. You might want to check yourself in.
Yeah.
Do you not love me?
Well, it's the opposite of what Dave Chappelle said.
Right.
It is.
That
Exactly.
To love someone means you must agree with everything they believe, say, or do. Both are nonsense. So Dave Chappelle
Disagrees.
is literally in direct opposition to this idea that love is advocacy. Now, I want to give this woman some credit, though, because I don't know her from Adam or from Eve, shall I say. And I'd like to say, okay, well, if love is advocacy, let's find out how you define advocacy.
And that is where I think the problem is, Cardin, because all this love is advocacy thing does is confuse people. If you only have those 3 words, you have people thinking, oh yeah, love is advocacy, meaning something as far as, oh, that means we should change sealing ceremonies in the temple. Or others think love is advocacy, meaning, oh, this means I should just make sure that people are equal citizens in the U.S.
Okay,
right?
I got to point this out because I just noticed this. I think this woman answered her own question, though.
Oh, really?
Here she says love is advocacy, but it says more posts from Dr. Julie Hanks. And literally 2 posts ago, she says here, feeling responsible for others' emotions is a common barrier to saying no, but it's unhealthy. So literally, feeling responsible for others' emotions is a common barrier to saying no, but it's unhealthy. So she herself is saying that just because another person feels a certain way, it is unhealthy for you to not just say that.
Yes.
She's answering her own question right here, right?
And that's the thing that's driving me crazy with this. I saw another Instagram post going around that was getting shared a ton, talking about like which glasses are you wearing, and then it presents a false choice of whether you're a believing member that isn't experiencing oppression or you're an LGBT person who is experiencing oppression.
Yeah, look,
and that's the only options.
Dude, there's more of these. This is so like this is why I say postmodernism is just chaos. Like it's literally just chaos. Because here we have another post. This is so interesting, dude. Like philosophically, this is squeezing my noodle or tugging at my noodle or whatever they said. If men and women are equal, how can it be that fathers preside? Okay, well, first off, there's some great Mormon feminists that have written interesting articles about when consensus is what is required in family decision making. Nobody truly presides. Someone simply just is a figurehead. I'm not that simplistic about it, but either way, let's ask the question: if women and men are equal, how can it be the fathers preside?
I think
they're equal in what?
We're getting into the weeds. We should do a different episode on Dr. Julie Hanks. I want to keep this focused on discussion and discourse. And I think.
Can I finish this one thought though?
Sure.
Because it has to do with discussion and discourse.
Yeah.
In the next one, it says the suggestion is simply stay away from people talking negatively about church leaders because they are, quote, doing the bidding of Satan, which I don't think anybody does, but they might, is reductionist and dangerous. I think it's reductionist and dangerous to boil down arguments like men and women's equality, not considering how like everybody celebrates Mother's Day because mothers can give birth and they have such big, advantages in other aspects of life that men don't. And also I think it's reductionist and unhealthy to actually boil down the arguments that love is simply just advocacy as defined by the intersectional secularists of our society. Like that just seems, you can't condemn reductionism and then be posting memes that are 3 words long that require, you know what I'm saying?
It's not a meme, it's an infographic.
Yeah, you're right.
Can I also
jump in?
When we have when my company meets to discuss any event or marketing schedule, we present ideas. And not one point has someone presented an idea that I disagreed with and thought, "Oh, you really don't believe in or respect this company, do you?" The idea that you have to assume a lack of positive association because of a disagreement in direction, you can't live your life that way. That is an insane line of thinking.
Yeah.
Honey, do you not love me because you do not advocate the way I did XYZ? No, in fact, that's abusive. This is what abusive high. Oh my gosh, this is a disaster. This is a
the
disaster.
Abusive high school boyfriend that threatens he's going to drop out of college if you don't keep dating her. Or
you
else.
don't love me. You never did. No, of course I did. Well, then why do you not appreciate this? I think that's a wrong choice.
Yeah, when you put the power of whether or not someone loves you into their hands and you just ignore what they think, that is not good.
Yeah,
that does not lead to good relationships.
This is a dangerous line. This is not liberal. This is not progressive. This is not feminist. Boy, this is not feminist. Rest in peace, Brandy Siegfried, my wonderful women's studies professor at BYU. She would tear this apart. This is awful. I'm sorry.
And
the other
goes
family's
back,
wonderful, but this is bad.
It goes back to the other thing I saw on Instagram that ultimately said, intent doesn't matter, only impact does. That was the ultimate thing that it said with the glasses thing that I was talking about earlier. It was like, it doesn't matter if Elder Holland intended to help LGBTQ people with what he was saying. Only the impact of his words matters. And I think that that's a little bit insane to have people say intent only matter, like intent doesn't matter at all, only the impact. That ruins our ability to even talk to each other.
Also just a roundabout way of saying the means justify the ends.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, it just leads to that.
Yeah.
Like your intent doesn't matter, just the impact in general. Huh. So like the means kind of justify the Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, the impact is always informed by the intent. If my daughter is running towards me because she wants to show me this pretty picture she painted, but it's still wet and she trips on my brand new white carpet, and then all of a sudden this paint gets all over the carpet, I'm going to be far less angry at her because I know her intent was to share with her father something she was very excited and happy about because I know she loves me. Whereas if she's angry and pitching a fit and saying, "Dad, I hate you," and then throws that same paint onto the carpet, well, now I'm going to be a lot more pissed because I'm like, great, in a temper tantrum, you decided to ruin my carpet. Intent is everything in that case.
And looking at it that way, like, if she's running toward you to show you a happy picture and you ignore her intent completely, in that case, you're being kind of a jerk. Like,
okay, so Liberty and I are cooking.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Liberty!
I grab a spatula. Okay.
Yeah.
As I'm reaching towards something, it's in my hand, and she leans over right as I'm reaching, and the spatula hits her in the face. Okay.
Oh no.
We laugh it off. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. You're fine. You're like, yeah, it's fine. My intent was just to grab the pepper grinder. It ended up hitting her with the spatula accidentally. We laughed it off. It's fine.
Yeah.
Watch
out, there's mandatory reporters like Dr. Julie Hanks that are watching this.
I know. No, she does something I doesn't like, and I go, boom, and hit her with the spatula. Which one's worse?
Yeah.
No. Intent matters way more.
And this intent versus impact thing, I think if you don't have a balance of those in your conversations, you are ruining your ability to talk to other people. Because I think we all, as sane human beings, are going to measure in a conversation what kind of impact our words are going to have. And we can never know exactly how they're going to be received.
This is a commandeer of language.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, this is purposely trying to make sure people misunderstand each other.
Dude, but look at this. Here I go again. I'm reading her social media profile, and just 2 posts ago, she literally says, because I want to give this woman the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to. And so I'm like, okay, I want to read the fine print here. She says, in this post, it says, feeling responsible for others' emotions is a common barrier to saying no, but it's unhealthy. So she herself refutes this idea of intent versus impact. So you'd think she's on our side of this argument, but then she says, where did you learn that other people can't manage hurt feelings or disappointment? Where did you learn that it's your job to protect others at your own expense? Why isn't she giving this deference to Elder Holland?
May I make a suggestion real quick?
Like why isn't this class of like life coaches, and everybody riling up the LGBTQ community right now? Okay. Or not riling them. That's not the right word, but the loudest screams that can be heard in this echo chamber, all right, are of people that apparently haven't learned that you can't manage other people's feelings of disappointment, and it's not your job to protect others at your own expense. Mm-hmm. So this is where I'm like, I just want to see some consistency here.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
Kwaku.
My suggestion is, I've been down this rabbit hole of Julie Hanks' Instagram. It's going to make a wonderful podcast if we just review some of the posts. So I say, if I'm allowed, we should wrap this up and tell people to click on the next video, which will be about deconstructing Julie Hanks.
Okay. I don't know. This is Brad's podcast.
Oh, no. I think we've gotten to the root of this. That really, if you're not considering the intent of people who are speaking with you, you're doing both of you a disservice.
Yeah.
You are making it so that you are more capable of being hurt by what they say. You're making yourself vulnerable by ignoring their intent.
Also being manipulative.
Yeah. You're being manipulative if you're weaponizing their intent to just do something. You weaponize their words.
And this is the biggest problem that I have with cancel culture and this culture war that we have going on right now is there is no redemption narrative.
Yeah.
It is a religion where there is no repentance and no redemption.
Yeah.
If you are white, you are guilty of that original sin and you can never live it down. The only thing you can do is sit down, shut up, and do what we say. And if you're straight, you better shut down, sit up, and then, shut down, sit down, shut up, and then do what we tell you is acceptable behavior or not. You are guilty of all those gravestones you see over there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then if you're a man, well, you better sit down and shut up and let the women take over because the future is female, even though that ruined every movie that tried it. You know?
Hey, some did well. Wonder Woman did fine.
The first one.
Yeah, but that's because...
that's very true.
That's believable girl power, though.
Yeah.
Because it's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
It's only when they take these characters...
Mandalorian did it well.
You know... Yeah, because they're real characters from the Star Wars universe. They're not these like purple-haired, like gown-wearing generals. You know what I'm saying? They're the most unbelievably hardcore general you ever saw in your life. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I mean, we all love, like my first rock and roll album was no doubt Gwen Stefani. Mm-hmm. Like, and I didn't buy it to be some ally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I bought it because, like, based on merit, it was like the hippest album of the time. Okay.
And I hate how this is going to sound, but I feel like we're seeing a lot of performative allyship.
Well, I'm just wondering, is this all just like a big fat advertisement? Because now, unfortunately, family therapists have to like self-promote just as shamelessly as Kwaku has to for his parties at Young and Dumb just to survive. Like, just like science has been corrupted by market effects.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm saying? Like now, no, I'm noticing this, dude.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like churches have to advertise like they're freaking Fortune 500 companies.
Oh yeah.
It's sad, but I listen to the Dark Horse podcast a lot.
Yeah.
There's that, the Weinstein brothers, total liberals, both of them professors at universities. Mm-hmm. And one of the things he said is we have to find a way to go back to precluding and excluding scientific inquiry from market influences. Because when professors know that the Department of Transportation is paying them to do a study on the efficacy of this firm's cement in laying down highways, that, man, if they say that cement doesn't work, then you know what? They're going to lose their grant that they got from that company. Same with, the testing carpooling emissions, so on and so forth. Like the market influences and the market of grants from the federal government has basically made it so that science has to be giving the government the answers that they think it's looking for. Yeah. Instead of being these honest third party, they're, separate so they can tell us the truth. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry. I stepped all over what you said.
No, you're good. I think it's something to consider because ultimately it's going to be hard to know when and where that's happening. And I think we're just going to be better off if we ignore some of these things and just get into actual conversations. Go talk to people.
Listen.
With human beings, face to face, if possible. I think face to face communication will do a lot of good for us.
Because what my fellow liberals have to understand this, and America is a liberal country. Like we have representative government here. We're not freaking monarchies or like run by warlords. Okay, we're not anarchist or libertarian.
Yet,
but like we need to understand the importance of maintaining this idea that intent does matter. Mm-hmm. Because if it doesn't, and we don't have a redemption narrative, imagine a world where the effect of what you did is the only thing that mattered.
Yeah.
I mean, cancel culture will zap you for anything,
But-
and there's no way back.
One thing I do want to point out is that you need to think about the impact as well. Like I know we've
Yes.
done a lot to
Of
say
course.
that the intent is super important, but
Dude, we don't
it
publish
would be-
podcasts all the time because we're worried about the impact that something might
By the
say.
way, there's one thing we forgot, and I think this might be the beautiful end to this.
Hit it.
Dr. Julie Hanks says love is advocacy, but the Lord says, if ye love me, keep my commandments. And his commandments are outlined very, very clearly on Latter-day Saint matters. They're outlined more so in the Doctrine and Covenants, which was initially called the Book of Commandments.
Yeah.
And so, I'm sorry, love is not just giving someone the thumbs up even if what they're doing is dangerous. And I'm removing sexuality completely out of the picture right now, okay? This is a dangerous line of thinking. This leads to so much turmoil in people's personal lives. If you love, greater love hath no man than this, that I lay down my life for my sheep. I might be mixed two verses together.
For friends, yeah.
My friends. Love is defined over and over again by the creator of the universe as not do whatever you want and it's fine. Love is beautifully defined throughout Scripture, and it always points back to Christ and following Christ, the Son of God. And when he says this is what's what, that's what's what.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm sick of all these many of these progressive members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints pretend as if we're just New Testament Christians. We're not. They do not peek into the Doctrine and Covenants.
Yeah.
They do not do it. The Doctrine and Covenants makes very clear what we believe and expounds upon everything in the Bible. We need to focus on the D&C because I don't see how a lot of these progressive life coach influencer types are actually in line with our teachings.
Yep.
They make great Protestant ministers. They don't make great Latter-day Saint coaches. They don't.
Dang.
So my only final thoughts on this are, like, I would want to talk to Dr. Julie Hanks. In fact, Dr. Julie Hanks, you have an open invitation to Midnight Mormons. I'd love to go into more detail.
Also have some personal beef because every single person who said horrifically nasty stuff to me on Twitter is an avid follower of hers. So I have
Really?
She's got some of the
interesting.
meanest fans.
Okay, so untainted by that emotional baggage, you are invited on my show, carte blanche, however much time you need to go over these issues. I'd like to know, Dr. Julie Hanks, what you mean by this, or just like to know a little bit more, because love is advocacy. Okay, I think love is a verb, so I actually agree with her on the statement that love generally is advocacy. Okay, so she defines it here. She says,
because even so, Christ is your advocate with the Father, right? There are ways you could interpret this that could work.
Yes, exactly. And if I'm giving, the benefit of the doubt and so on and so forth, I read further and she says, to my LGBTQ friends, first off, I'm confused by that because I thought you're supposed to say LGBTQIAA plus now, or else you get lambasted for forgetting one of them. So I once again, I share the confusion that many do, saying
BIPOC LGBTQIA plus.
Really?
Wow. Yeah. So anyway, whatever. So to my LGBTQ friends, I see you, I hear your pain, I love you. Now, I think that's beautiful and that's great, and I share her sentiment that I see you, which is a recognition of who they are as they are right now. I hear your pain, meaning I can empathize with you, and I love you in spite of that pain and in spite of this situation unconditionally, as Jesus Christ should love his brothers and sisters, and God loves all those children. So I love that. I agree with it. And she says, advocacy is, quote, any action that speaks in favor of, recommends, argues for a cause, supports or defends, or pleads on behalf of others. Love is advocacy. Okay. Well, I think this is where the hows start kicking in. Once again, we spoke in our last video, so I don't need to repeat it too much, but I'm a member of the Pink Pistols. I'm a big Second Amendment fan. And they have a phrase that gays with guns don't get bashed. And from my worldview, and me having grown up in Los Angeles and lived in New York, if I have any friends who are gay or trans or any of those letters in the alphabet that we still can't agree on yet, and they feel that they are at risk and not in a safe space due to their sexual orientation, screw that. I'm going to teach you how to use a gun. I'll help you buy one. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And there's instructors I know that'll give you free lessons, because the ultimate force equalizer for even the weakest and most vulnerable amongst us, you know, the most at-risk minority out there, all of a sudden ain't really at risk with a 9mm Luger in their hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like my coping mechanisms for helping and advocating for my vulnerable minority friends, okay, as they identify, also not me coming from this condescending, you know, soft bigotry of low expectations and assuming that you just need the help because MSNBC told me so, and that's what all the cool people are saying online. If you actually legitimately feel that you're at risk, well then come here. I'm going to teach you how to not be, and we're going to do self-defense and arms training together.
Speaking of, Jake Paul just beat Tyrone Woodley.
What?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, Jake Paul.
Jake Paul's like a legit boxer now?
Yeah, he's freaking
Oh
dominating,
man! So he threw out that Disney Channel flow.
I know that Disney Channel. Welcome to Disney Channel. Boom!
I love how we literally just went from muskets and Elder Holland to love is advocacy to who Jake Paul is beating up on. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did this happen?
No, but I think just to bring it all back
So
in,
wrap it up. Wrap it up here.
I think the biggest thing we can do is just talk to each other. The more that we're talking to one another, the less we're paying attention to things online that can be confusing.
You are a much nicer man than me.
Yeah.
I have zero faith.
Well, that's not hard to do, Kwaku.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little meaner on camera than I am in real. People always tell me I'm nicer in real life. But I honestly, like, I am not convinced that some of these people are speaking in a way because they actually want unity.
Yeah.
Well, here's my deal. I don't think we can always know. And so I don't know
With
that it's
some of
worth...
you can. This is where I agree with Kwaku.
Hope for the best, expect the worst. Melvin saying that's how I feel. That was my oldest guy reference ever. So
and maybe that's where you guys can temper me, right?
I really,
Yeah.
I wish I could think like that, but I'm telling you, I just, after so many years and getting just the most nasty, angry DMs I've ever gotten are always consistently I see from people in that Julie Hanks realm. I no longer think this is I think it means exactly what it says. I'm at this point where now, we are in 2021, and if you're a therapist, life coach who knows exactly how words impact, I at this point I just believe people when they're putting things online now. I don't think, oh, what if they really mean?
Well, you have to be smart. Like, I've lived in downtown Los Angeles. I've lived in downtown New York. I've lived in Harlem. I've lived in ghettos of South America and in some of the toughest neighborhoods, ironically, actually in Germany. You are a fool if you walk into some of these neighborhoods not realizing exactly where you are.
Oh, I totally agree.
And exactly what's going on. And I always see these articles. Once a month, I read an article of some doe-eyed journalist that, you know, just thought, oh, they're all just misinformed. If they understood how much we in the West love them, these terrorists they come, and there's these stories of like these groups of bikers that wanted to bike through the Middle East. And what do you know? Got picked up by terrorists, ransomed,
I saw that,
and
yeah.
then
man.
beheaded, right? And you're like, dude, you planned a bike trip through Syria
And
on
so
your way to Iran? Like, what?
That's why I'm not saying
And so,
go talk to Dr. Julie Hanks. I'm saying talk to people around you.
Well, yeah, and
Right.
so I'm just saying I share with Kwaku this idea. It's like, you know, if I were to go back and visit some of these families in Argentine ghettos where I served, yeah, the first thing I'm doing when I get off the airplane is I'm getting rid of anything that looks American. I'm buying a handgun if it's legal. You know what I'm saying? Or at least a heavy stick and treading lightly. Why? Because I have those street smarts. When you see all the symbology used on a lot of these Facebook pages, I think you would have to be an equal fool to think that they're not a soldier in an army of a side of the culture war that is deeply vested in that side's success.
I fully believe that there are people who share things like this without being in that same group.
Brett,
right?
you play a Book of Mormon prophet in the church videos for a reason.
What is that supposed to mean?
You understand? I don't audition for any of those things because I'm unchrist-like Kwaku sometimes.
Me and Kwaku. Hey, it's unchrist-like card, and you can't steal my copyright, dog.
Oh, you both have the cuss sound at the beginning of your names. You're gonna have to fight over it.
So
huh?
I'm here with Kwaku, where I think it requires a naivete to give that much benefit of the doubt. However, I'm also with you that I think we need to give benefit of the doubt.
I don't think there's any naivety to say that the people that you personally know who are sharing these things online might not be sharing them with the same level of intensity.
It's a very common practice of less righteous people like me to coddle themselves and console themselves in their lack of righteousness by accusing those that are more righteous as being naive. So just let me have my coping mechanism.
Fine.
And I also look, and I understand there's a lot of ways you could poke holes in this, like cheese, but when I was president of BYU Democrats and I got the club from 8 members to over 100 members and we got it booming, and I put hours and hours of dedication and work into that club only to have to leave it to anti-Mormons who did nothing but fabricate rumors about anybody on campus who was conservative, file false police reports about people, have people in the Title IX room accused of horrific things that they did not do and were actually acquitted of, and have those exact same hardcore liberals do as much damage to any religious student with power on campus as possible, and then post black squares on their Instagram and rainbows in their bio and pronouns and say they're all about love. I lost all faith for anyone progressive in Utah. I do not trust them.
Oh, man.
I've seen too many lives destroyed from progressive woke types in Utah. I do not trust them. And in fact, the only people I've ever seen online, I see so many people online say things like, well, you need to... if to stand up for the church means that you are standing up for apostles, and apostles bully gay kids and they make gay kids kill themselves. The only times I've ever received messages from people saying you should kill yourself are from woke progressives. I have the screenshots and I would share them if it would not cause a legal battle. And maybe I will one day. I do not trust these woke progressive people. I think inherently the majority of them are liars who lie in wait to deceive. I'm sorry. I've had sometimes I know the intellectual part of you should kick in, but I think history is the best predictor of the future, and I've had far too many experiences. I just don't trust them.
You know what? There was this young kid. It's interesting. I have family that moved into, I won't say the neighborhood on the Wasatch Front, but I'm going to have to shorten this story, but basically this kid says when they'd gone door to door and they were selling the new version of the flag. Have you seen the new version of the rainbow flag?
No. Oh, with the triangle.
Yeah, it's got like triangles and all that stuff. Kid on a straight up bike says, oh, that's the bully flag. I was like, what? And he said, yeah, they were going around our neighborhood offering to sell it as a fundraiser. And then if you didn't buy it, they said like really mean things to you.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so it's like, the only thing I worry about is I'm like, the rapper Tom McDonald says that, feminism used to be the noblest of causes, but now it just seems like y'all hate men. I'm afraid that the fight for civil rights, which is what America is about, man. I mean, we are the rebellion against tyranny. You know what I'm saying? The separation of powers, that like we are such a unique and beautiful thing in our history. We just got to keep it from descending into the same pride cycle, and hopefully the separation of powers does that, right? I would hate to see the gay rights movement, which I think was good, getting some of those rights that needed to be acquired, especially those hospital visitation rights, the inheritance rights, so on, and the civil unions, and so on and so forth. I'm a huge advocate for those things. I would hate to see those go the way that feminism did, where rappers just start saying that, yeah, you used to be the noblest of causes, but now you all just hate men. I'd hate to see the gay pride flag now, instead of mean pride in this kind of civil rights battle that lasted from the Stonewall riots all the way into the modern day, is now, oh, that's the bully flag. But I see that's the way it's going.
I interviewed a videographer who wanted to be part of Young and Dumb, and he was like, okay, are you guys just like Mormons only? I was like, no, we got inactive people. We got way different kinds of people on the team. He's like, okay, are you guys really progressive? And I was like, it's kind of a mixed bag. I mean, we're probably, you could ping us as socially liberal in a number of things. And he said, all right, like how liberal are we talking? And I was like, I mean, we got like, I'm pretty pro-environment. I'm anti-war. I don't like corporations, ironically, those kind of things. And like we have some LGBT people on our team. He said, okay, well, if you're like one of those really, really progressive brands, I don't want to be a part of it because I'm afraid. We'll have to cut this out if I don't get the okay to use a story. He said if you ever talk about it, let me know, because he wants to review the footage.
Okay.
Older brother, part of some sort of young Republicans type thing at his high school, makes a TikTok, not even that crazy of a TikTok, something advocating Trump. They went and ruined his life. Okay, they sent emails to his high school. Mm-hmm. They were leaving things at his door. They were keying his car parked in like the high school parking lot. Just horrific things. Okay, brother already had some mental imbalances. They come home to find himself like in his bathtub with razor blades lined up to.
Yeah,
because of months of relentless bullying from the progressive crowd. Luckily, they got there in time. Okay, they're able to,
Dude, John DeLynn doxed his own sister.
Like,
the ex-Mormon community harassed her for months and months.
I've had too many experiences with this very progressive crowd to think that these are good people. And when I say LGBT, I'm not conflating that with progressive. Because most of those progressive people on that team are straight, ironically, right? So it's not a conflation of the two because they'll want to conflate it. I do not trust these people who are claiming to be social justice warriors because they just want power. Mm-hmm. The people who truly want... It's like when you meet someone who claims to be super, super rich. At first, there never are. Uh-huh. It's like, no, if you open with that, you're not.
And here's the thing that I want to say about that is we can't really know what people believe based on the symbols that they share until we talk to them personally. Because we were talking about this actually, Kwaku. Some of the people we know who have shared some of the more extreme symbolism stuff online, they're very different when you're in person. And so I would actually say, I think it's important that we also try to do what we can to make our online persona match our in-person persona as much as we can.
Are you saying, like Elder Bednar said, we need to have high fidelity?
Yes.
Oh, and this is why you're going to be an apostle. BD Wetback coming straight at you.
That's still not my initials.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's BT.
Yeah, but...
you look like a Theodore. No.
What? So, the thing that I think is we have a difference between the online communication that we engage in and the offline communication that we engage in. And I think it's our responsibility to try to make more offline communication happen.
Yes.
So that we can try to find a way to get past all of the online garbage that gets shared around and ends up, I think, radicalizing people like that. I guarantee you the bullying that happened to that kid would not have happened the same way if those people were talking to him in person. And I think that we have this cyber world that people become horrible, horrible people in. And that if we try to limit ourselves from letting our online persona be something so cruel and horrible because we can't see the person
it's like
there.
Ready
Brad,
Player One.
You're still of the generation that can separate the two, and you didn't grow up with your online identity actually influencing your real life identity.
But I did, Kwaku. I totally
yes,
did.
we did, and all of us suffered post-TITS.
No. I mean, it's different even now. Like 2 years younger than me.
I agree. But like my online persona, I've always tried to keep the same. I don't use any like pseudonyms. I don't have like.
No, these people don't either. No, I'm saying these were people with their own profiles doing this. These were not burners. These were actual high school students with their own profiles. When I was at BYU Dems, it was the actual students itself. Once you decide to drink this Prague Kool-Aid, I've just seen unbelievable cruelty at the hands of these people. I do not trust them. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's the reason why the 20th century was the most bloody century on Earth. I mean, we all drunk the socialist Kool-Aid, and 250 million people were murdered.
It's also, again, why I roll my eyes whenever people say, like, oh, it's all the conservatives. And again, I'm my own thing. I do not agree with either party. You can't pigeonhole me into either party. But I roll my eyes and they're saying, oh, the conservatives are pushing people to suicide. I'm sorry. Everyone I know who's been on the brink of suicide for something from a socio-political matter has been a conservative at the hands of the progs.
Yeah, and I saw the best meme today. I can't remember if you showed me, if Brittany showed me, or if you showed me. But it said, America's working class.
Please help us.
Says, please help us. Republican response, no. Democratic response, no. Hashtag BLM, hashtag rainbow flag, hashtag love is love. It's like either way, you're getting a big fat no.
Yeah, like the countless dead Americans being executed in Afghanistan right now by the most progressive presidency. Oh my gosh. I'm sick of the hypocrisy. And
that's why I think we need to pay less attention to all of that. Pay less attention to this online demagoguery and talk to people in your own community. Get to know human beings and
I agree.
Spend less time on
Okay, so who's ending the
everything else.
podcast now that we've reached a spot where we'll all agree? You want to do it, Kwaku?
Show love and compassion to those people, even if they're progressive. Make sure you take boxing lessons, because when they come after you for violence, you better be ready. Do you understand me?
This is Midnight Mormons. See you.
I will fight you. I will fight you. Do you understand? I will come after you.
And now Kwaku's Alex Jones.
Yeah.